We are back. Hopefully, this thing will time right and it'll go over because it is indeed go time zero. I think I might have screwed up the timing because I was working on something in the back. So let's just manually do it. What's up, everybody? It is Friday. We are back here on Studio Kabuto for another episode of Good, the Mav, the Ugly. What's up? How's it going? I am your host, Mav, of course. I am excited to be with all of you on this lovely Friday. We've got so much to talk about. Let me fix my green screen, of course. All right, yeah, so as you guys might have seen from the thumbnail today, this is going to be a very Dragon Ball-centric stream as we finally got the first episode of Dragon Ball Daima. That dropped, so we'll talk about that. We are finally getting new Dragon Ball content. We also got Dragon Ball Sparking Zero released this week, and we'll talk a little bit about that because that game is pretty damn incredible. And yeah, so anything Dragon Ball, and of course, anything you guys want to talk about. You guys know the format of this show. Well, if you're new here, the format of this show is I want to talk to you guys. We're here to kick off the weekend right, make everything, be positive, be happy, remember the things we like since we spend the entire week waiting in the poop of all of our favorite things being ruined and just awfulized. I have no other word for it. So, yeah, anything you guys want to talk about, of course, drop it in the chat. I am here for you. As you guys might notice, I am wearing a baseball hat tonight for the first time ever on stream. And that is because my Padres right now, my San Diego Padres, are in the NLDS against the Los Angeles Dodgers, who I hate with every core of my body. So right now they are tied at 2-2 games. They are playing right now. They started just when I went live. They are playing right now. Whoever wins this game goes on to the National League Championship and plays the Mets, I believe. Yeah, the New York Mets. My girl Amy's team. I know she doesn't watch this, but one of my good friends, Amy, it's her favorite team. They'll be whoever wins tonight's game will go out there. So I am rooting for the Padres. A, because go Padres. B, because I hate the Dodgers with every fiber of my being. So if I seem a little distracted, I genuinely have the scores on over here. Look, there we go. Got the ESPN Gamecast going on over there. So if I react loudly or if I take a pause for like 2 seconds, I'm probably checking the stream. Oh, dude, Corey. Well, first of all, Corey, what's up, my buddy? Nice to see you too. And you just cursed them, dude. Do not even get me started. I don't know what my curse limit is for the Padres. Like sometimes I wear my hat and they do incredibly. Sometimes I don't and they do incredibly. Like it's such a crapshoot that I figured at the very least I want it on record that I am a Padres fan. So here's a video of me streaming in my hat. But aside from that, yeah, let's get into it. We have people in the chat already. Let's say hi. I know I did the thing again where I didn't start the stream chat function early enough, so I don't have all of the chats, but I know Andrew is here. I know Zero is here. I know my boy Corey is here. I see Timon is here saying, hey, yo, Spencer. Hey, yo, Timon. Nice to see you, buddy. Yep, there's Andrew saying, what's up? Shinkai is here. Hey, didn't know Daima started, but Dan was pretty wild. That's, you know what? Let's talk about Dan. Why don't we talk about that? So, well, first of all, Timon has a recommendation. Symphony of War, the Nephilim Saga, a turn-based strategy RPG. What's that on? I've literally never heard of that. That sounds like the kind of title that would be right up my alley. Like, mythology, religious mythology and all that stuff combined with like a war. I don't know. That sounds all really cool. So yeah, let me know where we can, or I can play that at least. But yeah, Shinkai. So Shinkai brings up, hey, didn't know Daima started, but Dan was pretty wild. Yeah, let's see. I can bring up some visuals for Dan. We're just gonna pull up the trailer. Very, very, very easy enough. Dan. Or you know what? Let's bring up the opening. Why not? That'll work. Before we do that, I have to make sure I got to change the stream buddy from last week. I didn't think I did, but we got to make sure we keep it updated. All right. So let's switch on over very early to our main discussion window area. I have no idea what to call that section yet. 47 streams in, and I still have no idea what I want to specifically call this, like, when I change layouts, right? So, yes, as you guys might see right here, the stream buddy for today is a shot from the first issue of Absolute Batman. This is the first on-page look at him. Like, we see him on the cover, of course, but this is his on-page debut. And if you got, I'm obviously not going to get into the comic book here because, in case you guys didn't know, I currently have a show with Andrew, Caffeinated Wolf, in the chat called Foil Variant. You can find the channel on YouTube by the same name. It is a comic book podcast. We talk on Thursdays about the books we read this week. So it's been a lot of fun. Go check it out. We've had some really good reception to it. But more to the point, we talked about it. We got really into it last night. So if you want deep dive thoughts into Absolute Batman, go check out last night's episode for our thoughts. But quick rundown, this book is insanely good. I know we are only one issue in, but Scott Snyder, that man knows how to write Batman. And the way I put it to Andrew last night, it was they changed Batman around. Like, Scott knows Batman so well from having written the Earth Zero version for so long that he's able to make changes to a character, but make them make sense for the character, right? Like, it doesn't feel like it still feels like you're looking at a Bruce Wayne, not just some guy who decided to call himself Bruce Wayne and wear a bat suit. You know what? You guys know what I mean? That happens way too often these days. It's more of a Marvel thing because they do the multiverse, like, oh, bring in all the Spider-Sona crap. But Absolute Batman, A+ debut issue. Once he has these really cool like hook things where like you know how bats have little hands on their claws? Here, I'm just going to show you guys what I'm talking about because I'm going to do an awful job visualizing this. Jump over here real quick to show you guys. But yeah, see, like, Batman, Absolute Batman has these, like, yeah, bats have little hands on their wings, little hooks to climb and everything. And Absolute Batman put them on his cape, and he uses them like God of War style, like they're like whips, like he can grab you with them, he flings people with them. And I haven't mentioned this in a couple weeks or in a while, but if you know me, and I've said it before, I think we need more like chain style weapon, like whip weapons in media. Like, I love Ghost Rider's chain. The only, aside from the concept of Ben Reilly's Chasm suit, one of the only things I like about that change is that now his web shooters, since they're demon energy, they make like God of War, Kratos style blades of chaos. So seeing Batman do this, I turned to this page and I had like the biggest smile. I felt like a 13-year-old again. I was just like, dude, this is so cool. More to the point, as I told Andrew, I really wish there was a video game where I could use this sort of mechanic to like grab people and fling them. But give it time. I'm sure we will get there. So, yeah. But long story short, Absolute Batman, very, very, very good. It's so good to the point where I told the story last night, so I before Andrew gets on my butt about it. But so when they first announced Absolute Batman, I shared it with Andrew, and both of our reactions were sort of, okay. You're trying to make another Ultimate Universe. You've done this like 7 times, DC, and it never takes off. So we weren't jazzed on it. And then, as anybody here knows, or anybody here who was in Andrew's Discord saw us talking, over the past 2 months, they started releasing, like, DC started releasing previews, and Scott Snyder was doing interviews. And every time they released a new bit of information, I would drop it in the chat, and I would go, okay, I'm liking this. I'm getting there. Yes, actually, I am a lonely man, Andrew. I could use the bodily contact. But yeah, so every time I would drop something, I'd be like, ooh, my interest is getting piqued a little bit more and more. You're selling me on it, Snyder. And Andrew was just like, he would give me the good job, little buddy. You know, like, every time like I drop something, I'd be like, I'm excited. He'd go, I'm happy for you. I'm happy for you, man. I'm so happy. Yeah, so I was like, how do I get him to get on the hype train? But sure enough, he picked up the issue on his own so we could talk about it. And as you'll see, if you go watch last night's show, he ended up loving it. And so I think, to me, that's the biggest sale right there. Like, selling point is somebody who knows comic books, who was already hyper cynical on it, walked away from this book with it as his book of the week. So that's why this is yeah, exactly. I'm happy you're happy. Good job, little guy. Like you get at it. But yeah, really, really good book. I highly recommend everybody check it out. But that is not what we are here to talk about right now. We are here to talk about, let's see, why is my window not fitting correctly? Dan. So I'm just going to play the intro here, and it's probably going to get us in trouble because anime stuff gets you in trouble really, really, really hard. But new anime came out, or it's an adaptation of a manga, obviously, Dan. It is about basically a guy who there's aliens and all this stuff going on, and he sort of gets his balls, removed from him by the aliens. And so that's sort of one of the plots, and it sort of deals with all of that. And yeah, so this released to Netflix this week. I'm enjoying it. Well, technically it released to Netflix this week. If you guys remember, as covered by my girl Nerdigans over on Bounding Into Comics, there was a massive Netflix leak a couple weeks ago, maybe at like 6 weeks ago at this point, where somebody got a hold of the first 6 episodes of Ranma, first 6 episodes of Dan, the entire first season of Ranma, a couple other things I think that weren't necessarily anime related. They're like other kids shows. Nerdigans knows the entire thing because she wrote it up. But yeah, so I have already watched these, but more to the point, yes, this is I know this is just the ops, so it's not really giving you a sense of what the actual quality of the show is. But so far, Saru's doing a great job at animating it. It's really faithful to the manga. Again, we are one episode in right now, or 6 episodes, depending on where you are. But yeah, so far, I'm really enjoying it. It's how do I put this? It's very reminiscent of, like, it feels very. I really. Has anybody here ever read I Am a Hero? It's this manga, really, really, really good. I highly recommend it. But I Am a Hero is about basically this alien. Well, we don't even know. Just all of a sudden, the Earth starts being invaded by things that look like alien, demon, monster things, and nobody knows. And we've all got to fight. Like it's a survival story like that, but it's really high sci-fi almost, right? And this is like a good in between that level of like alien intrigue and more classic, and I mean this the good way, the more classic gag styles of like Ranma 1/2, if you will, right? So I highly recommend this series, but I'm also sort of biased because in case more Mav lore time, I am a big UFO metaphysical guy. I don't know what's out there, but I always keep my mind open. Like, there's got to be something. So this kind of stuff intrigues me. So I was already off to the good start with Dan. But yes, I highly recommend watching Dan, reading Dan, of course. This is a hit of a series. Like, it's really good. Nothing but recommendations from here. Let's see. Yeah, Tehillim's here, says awesome manga. Right. I felt like you had read it. I feel like I knew one of us did. And then yeah, first episode and the lead girl is nearly taken by aliens, so this one seems wild. It's wild, but it doesn't ever go over into that like super hyper dark, like gritty, edgy. Like I'm gonna say like Berserk, but Berserk's not edgy. It's just a darker story. But it never gets into that like that level of handling it. It still is a shonen manga rather than a seinen one. So still really good. Definitely recommend it. I think the main thing I wanted to bring up, because it is related to Dan, is have you guys seen the stuff that went down? Sorry, guys, I got to try and find the game cast again. I got to bring it out so I can see what's happening. But have you guys seen the drama that blew up around this over the YouTuber Chibi reviews? So I want to talk about this. Nerdigans is currently writing a really in-depth article about it for Bounding. She's talking to Chibi, so it's taken her a little while. But basically, the long story short is, the other day there is a YouTuber by the name, an anime YouTuber by the name of Chibi Reviews, and he posted a panel from the Dan 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 manga that was it's the scene where the two leads end up like. I think they're like deposited back in their high school, but they're in the halls and they're completely like naked on top of each other and they're freaking out. So he posts that and he simply asks like, wow, I wonder what the reaction to this is going to be. Because in case you guys haven't been on the internet or in an anime comment section in the last 4 or 5 years, we are in this weird area here in America where our Puritanism, the Puritanism that we were founded on here, is making a huge comeback. Whether you're a leftist or a right, like a conservative, it doesn't matter. Both sides are like heavily anti-sexy right now, or anything, or even anything that could be remotely interpreted as sexual. Like we're in a new weird era of Puritan censorship. So any anime, even if if there is an anime character who is under 18 and there's a gag about them, losing their pants, or if there is an anime character shown in a revealing costume, like in My Hero Academia, all of these weirdo terminally online anime fans in recent years have decided it's a moral crusade to harass, not even here's how you know it's complete bullshit and only for clout, because they go, oh, this needs to be stopped, we shouldn't be consuming this. But instead of actually taking their complaints straight to, Shueisha or the mangaka, which you can do. I mean, yeah, you can Google Translate it and it'll read bad, but it'll still get the core of your idea across. You can still message them. You can still email them. But no, they only focus their attentions on people who are watching it or like that character for whatever reason. So that's what Chibi was talking about. He was like, wow, those weird Puritans are going to shit their pants when they see this gag of 2 naked high schoolers. Sure enough, the internet, that side of the internet went ballistic to the point where they doxed him. They started hacking into all of his accounts, and they successfully got into his DeviantArt account and started posting actual CSEM, child exploitation material. And it's completely unhinged. He did nothing. He did literally nothing wrong. He literally he didn't even make that implication. He just asked that question. I wonder what the reaction is going to be. And teenagers, mind you, most of this, the reason I feel like I'm in such a crisis when I talk about Puritanism and censorship is because most of this push is coming from teenagers, from the younger generation, the sub 25s. And that really, really worries me because my generation spent so long trying to fight against censorship, whether it be books being banned, like Harry Potter, or Congress going after Mortal Kombat and Grand Theft Auto. This is what we fought against. And now that, now we're at horseshoe theory point where young liberals and old conservatives are on the same point of, don't you dare show anything. Don't you dare show a person in anything less than church frocks, right? To this point, I want to note this one thing. This is sort of an aside, but I'm currently working on an article about Sweet Baby Inc. Co-founder or CEO Kim Belair. She recently gave a talk and gave her thoughts on the quote unquote harassment campaign that is going out. But more to the point, during her talk, she says this thing we're not censorship. I want games to be darker. I want games to be hornier. And I'm I heard that line and I went, that is a fucking lie. There's this concept that a lot of people were really debating over the last I'd say maybe a year or two. There's this concept called safe horny. And that's this concept is, there's no council who decides this. It's sort of just a social phenomena, but there are characters out there who get released, and because they fit some paradigm, those ones it's okay to thirst over, right? Your Lady Dimitrescu's, your oh my gosh, what's her name? Cassandra from Assassin's Creed. These strong, different archetype women, it's okay to thirst after them. But if I were to go make a post right now about how much I love, say, Angel from King of Fighters, I would get my ass excoriated by those same people because it's not the approved horny. All of the discourse and all of this shit you see coming out these days, especially from social media users, it's not about anything real. They have no cause they're fighting for. They just want to control you. And oftentimes, like, here's the insidious nature of it. The smaller people, the social media users, they want to control you for their own self, and they don't even realize it. So in trying to browbeat you and harangue you, they end up doing the work of the government and the corporations that want you silenced, that don't want you talking about any of this stuff, right? I mean, it's completely, we are in such a bad place when it comes to this stuff that we are like this group, I have no term for them, but these teenagers literally uploaded real children, actual physical children who exist in this plane, in bad positions to that guy's account, and thought they still had the moral high ground. This is how insane we've gotten. And honest to God, guys, I have to reiterate this. As much as this is a moral crusade masquerading as genuine concern for society, it's also just very, very, very much anti-Japanese racism. Hold on, I gotta turn on my light. It got dark in my room, and the lighting is all bad. So, if you guys remember, a few, I'd say it probably all unfolded last year, but there was this big level of discourse around the old G4 channel, right? Because a lot of clips were resurfacing of the G4 team being just completely unabashedly racist to Japanese developers and their games, and just hating on them because they came from Japan. Now, a lot of the people in the industry are going to try and tell you, oh, no, we didn't do that. Like, things have changed. We love Japan. It's not fucking true. There is, like I was saying, that double standard where it's okay to thirst over or not Lady D, but Cassandra, but you can't thirst over Blue Mary, right? Like, you can't do any of that stuff because it's Japan bad. And this is on my mind a lot recently because I don't know if you guys saw, but I believe it's, who the hell was it? I want to get the outlet right because it's going around top 100 movies. Somebody, let me see this real quick. Some outlet just uploaded like 100 films, like the 100 best films you need to watch, and I got it. I'm trying, guys. I got to find the exact thing I am looking for. There it is. Okay. Pardon me. Oh, goodness. So, which window are we looking at? The Dan one. So let's go here. So we go to Twitter. And so, yeah. Earlier this week, or 2 days ago, actually, over on Wednesday, Variety dropped their 100 greatest horror movies special of all time, right? Like that's their list. They dropped that. And somebody found that at number 47 comes Godzilla, the OG. However, I'm going to read you the review, the passage, and I don't even need to say, yeah, exactly, Tehillim. It's that meme, racism against the Japanese. It is 1,000% about this. So check this out, right? Here's Godzilla, a film that if you are not an elite Hollywood snob, like if you're one of us, if you're somebody who loves media like this, who loves stories, you've engaged with Godzilla and you like, or, you can, it's the thing, it's that wrestling friend joke I always talk about all the time, right? We watch Godzilla, us here, the fans, the audiences, we watch Godzilla, and yes, we recognize little cheesy guy in a suit, stomping through sets. We can tell, oh, there's the seam to his gloves. I mean, for my fellow Toku fans out there, that's become sort of not like a negative game, but like when we're watching new episodes of Gavi, you go, I see a zipper, and it's like just like, I see it, because that's what Tokusatsu is. But despite its lower production quality, we still are able to suspend our disbelief and put ourselves there and take it seriously. And that's why in recent years, the whole notion of Godzilla as the anti-atomic, spokesperson from Japan, that's become more and more prevalent in the minds of America, because again, we're like the generation that grew up on sort of cheesiness. You know, the 80s kids grew up on He-Man and G.I. Joe and Transformers, which on paper seem a little ridiculous, seem a little juvenile, but they worked and we were able to enjoy them. Same with my generation and Power Rangers or Pokemon. These types of people who I'm about to read from you, they think so highly of themselves and that they cannot fathom, you know, let me engage on the level of this work. So especially when it comes to something like this, where tokusatsu is Japan. That's like a defining thing in Japan. They hear, like, I'm going to read you this, and it is the most blatantly, like what's that meme? Like, I know Jacob references it all the time. Shout out to my boy Jacob, love him, Society Reviews. But they're like, God damn, that's racist. Like that's what it's going to sound like to you. So this is the entry for Godzilla 1954 in Variety's Top 100 Horror Films. Allow me to take a drink of water. Also, before I read this, I saw, there's my boy Duck jumping into the chat saying, LOL Padres hat. You said that, and the Dodgers got a run, so I'm mad at you. But also, are we playing tonight? Send me a text. Are we playing One Piece? All right, so, Godzilla. He's one of the most spectacular of all movie monsters, and also one of the most grandly preposterous. It's between these two poles that Godzilla lives, occupying an uncanny valley of kitsch awe. Towering over the buildings, elevated trains and telephone wires, he smashes through as if they were toy models. Actually, now that you mention it, with skin like shag carpeting, plates that line his back like small fur Christmas trees, and eyes so beady that they're just this side of puppyish, the radioactive beast who stomped Tokyo is a walking metaphor for the nuclear devastation suffered by Japan during World War II. As such, he's as serious a figment of 20th century horror as the cinema ever gave us. But he's played by a man in a dinosaur suit, and on some level, we always know that we're watching a tacky, ingenious, apocalyptic puppet show. The original kaiju film is still the most compelling, a lavishly somber orgy of destruction. Right? Yeah, there you go, Andrew. I told you. This is like right here, but he's played by a man in a dinosaur suit, and on some level, we always know that we're watching a tacky, ingenious, apocalyptic puppet show. Get the fuck, get the hell out of my face, first of all. Second of all, keep Goji's name out of your mouth. Exactly. Don't ever insult the Goji infringement of me. That's what I'm saying. This right here, this is the equivalent, like I referenced before I read it, of the friend who, or the guy you know who, whenever you talk about wrestling, has to jump in and go, you know it's all fake. It's like, yes, moron, you're not smart. I know you think you're smart for pointing it out, but we all know that. That is, the point. But we can all accept it and move on. Sort of when Andrew and I have our foil variant streams, yes, we know that the industry is in a really bad place, and there are a lot of activists, and we could just spend all day, sitting there making sure everybody knew that we don't like, most of the industry right now. But that's an accepted part of the conversation. If you're even the least bit intelligent, you'll know that that is sort of an accepted element of this conversation. So, this kind of shit, Shinkai, because it's fun, Jan. Yes, exactly. I love that Quentin Tarantino clip. I've been quoting that one since I was 16 years old. Let's look that up. I want to play that one. Shout out, by the way, my girl Cassie is live right now. She's playing some RE4. And of course, my boy Marvin the Movie Monster over here on Tooneytown TV is playing AEW Fight Forever. We dropped in on YouTube real quick, so let's just do this. We'll go unmute. What's he talking about? Apparently, Marvin. All right, I'm gonna say, Marvin, shout out from my stream. We're all watching you. Ha 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 ha. All right, that's all I wanted to do. This game is really bad. I was listening to Marvin play this before we went live, and he was complaining, but I didn't look, and now I'm just like, oof, that's really bad. But yeah, Jan Quentin Tarantino. Yeah, there it is. So So for those of you who don't know, because I am picking the shorter clip because the entire thing is 4 minutes, and I don't think we all want to sit here for 4 minutes just watching a clip. But basically, this is an interview between Quentin Tarantino, obviously, and a concerned parent. She's basically or not even a parent. She's just like a concerned moviegoer, going like, "You have too much blood and violence. Your films are disgusting. They erode society." Literally, the people we're talking about right now. So this is how Quentin fires back.
Permission to kick ass. These girls just kick ass. They're warriors. They live by a code of honor, and they die by that code of honor too.
And innocent people die along the way. It's about that kind of thing. Now, tell me this.
Innocent people die along the way because unfortunately, that's the story of revenge. Revenge is messy. It never works out the way you want it.
Why the need for so much gruesome, graphic violence? Why not let us imagine
because it's so much fun, Jan.
Really?
Get it?
Oh, really?
Muted still? Okay, no, volume dealer's saying louder. Okay, I'll replay it because I did notice that the audio on it was a little low. I'd adjust it like twice during play. So let's restart. I know that I know it sounds silent, Dozer, but Zero, I think you should probably look at your speakers because I know you always say either me or Andrew are low, but all of our stuff always comes through. So, but good calling me out on it. So let's start again. So again, Jan here is complaining that Quentin Tarantino's movies are just violence for the sake of violence.
This is a movie about women. They're not about cute girls going
it's about killer women.
All right, with their butts and their T-shirts that stop below their before their belly button, asking permission to kick ass. Right. These girls just ass. They're warriors. They live by a code of honor, and they die by that code of honor too.
And innocent people die along the way. It's about that kind of thing. Now, tell me this.
Innocent people die along the way because unfortunately, that's the story of revenge. Revenge is messy. It never works out the way you want it.
Why the need for so much gruesome, graphic violence? Why not let us imagine
because it's so much fun, Jan. Get it?
Oh, really? Okay, I'd like to see you walk down the street and get attacked by some kids who've just seen your movie.
But see, Jan, you're all messed up because you're talking about real life.
Oh,
and I'm talking about the movies. You got to get it straight. Now, if you want to talk about the movies, we'll talk about the movies.
Okay, and kids
at 12
can tell the difference.
we'll talk about real life.
Kids at 12 can tell the difference. You tell their parents that, Quentin.
I saw movies when I was a kid, all right? I saw all the movies that I'm basing my movies on are the movies I saw as a kid, and yes, kids go to a movie theater, they can tell the difference. Maybe you couldn't when you were a kid, but I could.
Okay, honey.
I was muted. I'm kind of dumb. But yeah, sorry about that. That YYC end tag right there was super, super loud. But, no, Zero. The meme Sure Jan comes from the Brady Bunch, where I think it's Marsha. She's telling Jan Brady, her sister, like, sure, Jan. Like, okay. Jan just is it's a very memeable name, if you will. Awesome, Volume Dealer. Thank you for letting me know that. But yeah, so, like, this is sort of, like, Yeah, exactly, Volume Dealer. Okay, honey. Like, that condescension, she doesn't even want to consider she might be wrong. She isn't engaging in good faith. Here's a really insidious thing, and I meant to bring this up. If you guys watched the 01 stream over on Bounding on Wednesday, Cider and I talked about this a little bit in terms of, or Cider Nerdigans and I talked about this a little bit in terms of anime, video game, Western censorship, and that kind of stuff, right? Is COPPA. In case you guys don't know what COPPA is, COPPA was passed I want to say like 10, maybe 15 years ago, and in America, it is the Children Online Privacy Protection Act, or something like that. What do we want to look at? Well, we'll go back to her. She is a cutie. Where is my score? There it is. Let me just look at that real quick. 1-0 Dodgers. Awesome. Sucks my butt. Yeah, no, that's actually a really good what do you call it? Equivalent Volume Dealer. Like she's very much an NPC like Anna Kasparian. Also, the Anna Kasparian thing, for those of you who don't know, she's been having like a fallout with the Young Turks. It's hilarious. You guys you should all check it out. Yeah, maybe you couldn't tell the difference, but I could. Yeah, cool, Karen. Right? Yeah, like it's so emblematic of what I was talking about, right? Where, oh no, sorry, wait. I totally dropped what I was saying. So COPPA. There's this thing called COPPA, the Children Online Privacy Protection Act. It might even just be Protection Act. I don't remember off the top of my head. But this is essentially a bill that is designed to, protect the children, Helen Lovejoy style. Won't somebody think of the kids? But the here's like the very insidious part about anybody. We talked about this a little bit last week when I talked about people who are very performative in their hate for PDFs, right? The problem with legislation or things like COPPA is everybody in the world wants to protect kids. Like I said last week, that's not, aside from the actual evil people, everybody is on the same page about like, let's keep kids safe, let's keep them healthy, they are our future. But because of that, because kids are such a sensitive topic, and because nobody wants to have the political attacks railed against them that, look, he didn't support this bill, he's a PDF, he's a predator, like nobody wants that, and we know that's what would happen. So when bills like COPPA are introduced, these censorship bills, everybody just goes along with it because they go, I want to be seen as protecting the children, let's go for it. Nobody ever interrogates, like, this isn't to protect the children, this is just widespread censorship bills. And people like Jan and the online, like the terminally online teenagers we talk about, that's what they do. Like it is a bizarre dichotomy that we live in where it's just like, it's just, we are in an exceedingly bad place where people will use, I want to protect the kids as a guise to just bowl you over with censorship. And like I said, these types of people who think that they are being moral crusaders, they're just useful idiots for the government, for the powers that be. Like, if you guys know me, I'm not a, more Mavlor. I'm politically not left or right. I don't like either party. I think both sides have dumb points. Both sides have correct points. I wouldn't say I'm a complete centrist. I have my views on everything. But at the very core, I definitely believe that right now in the world, we are in a genuine, not communist style class warfare, but like we have elite people, the super rich and the government against everybody else. And they have the control mechanisms. And that's why it makes it so hard to fight. But when they can tag useful idiots like this to do the work for them, half their job is done. Your propaganda is being pushed out by the common man, by everybody on the ground, and you can just sit back and collect whatever tax breaks you want. Yes, exactly. Politicians, think of the dumb slaves. Who is worse, volume dealer, Anna or Kamala? I'm kidding. Don't shoot. At least Anna can string a sentence together, right? Like, I'll give her that. And this also leads me to a point I wanted to bring up, because this is sort of where we get to this point. So, Tehillim brought up earlier, did you hear about the archive website? So, in case you guys, I have, but in case you guys didn't hear, is it still down? Look at that, it's 101 where I live right now, guys. Isn't that fun? Yeah, so it's still down right now, but the Internet Archive yesterday was subject to a major hack attack by a group claiming to be pro-Palestinian activists. And they took down that site because they were claiming, oh, the people behind the archive support Israel, blah, 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 that kind of stupid shit. The problem is, if you interrogate that story past the surface level, the Internet Archive not only held a bunch of pro-Palestinian writings, and not just like scholarly books, but like on the ground memoirs, all that kind of stuff. So it was on your side. But the other notable thing, guys, is that the Internet Archive had lots and lots of publicly available, unredacted, government-related information, reports on wars, reports on our spying stuff. So, like, this site going down a month before the election, I'm sorry, like, I do not know how anybody can look at this and think, yeah, this was a pro-Palestinian group and not, like, the government trying to shut you down. And that's sort of what it comes down to at the end of the day. The government doesn't really give a shit. The powers that be do not give a shit about your morality. They don't care what you consider appropriate or inappropriate. They don't care if you lean left. They don't care if you lean right. They just want to control you no matter what. That's the name of the game, is control of what you consume, of what you think, of what you do. And that's why I'm such an anti-censorship advocate, because humanity is our ideas. It's our thinking. And the more they try to tamper that down, regardless of how weird or awful or, insane our thinking can get, that's the human experience. And the more they try to suppress us, especially in the age of the internet, it just is not, it's not working. It's, showing their hands. So, yeah, I know I kind of went off from Dan. I didn't really have more to say about Dan, except for a recommendation. But yeah, the Chibi review situation, the ongoing pushes for just general censorship across the internet, like, I can't stand it. Each and every day, I cannot stand it, right? It bums me out right now that one of the bigger voices, or one of the bigger news sources right now in our sphere, is That Park Place. Not because they don't do good work, but because John Trent himself, he is a pro-censorship advocate. He doesn't cover censorship stories, and when he does, he ends it with like 3 paragraphs of Catholic teaching as to why you should be censoring things. And that's fine, he can think that. But in this fight we're having, right, censoring is what got us here in the first place. So again, that's just playing into the hands of your enemy because they said one thing you agree with, right? Like that's I've railed against that problem for the last few weeks. Don't raise somebody up just because they said something you agree with, because 9 times out of 10, those people are just saying that to get your attention, to get you eyes on them, and they don't really care about what they're doing anymore, right? Here's a really good example. I'm going to pull it out from Andrew's Discord. Where is it? Where did we see this? Well, first, this is, just to give us a quick sort of lighthearted reprieve. Did you guys see this? I guess we're getting She-Venom and Agony are going to be in Venom: The Last Dance, and they're coming over to Fortnite. The only reason I really bring this up is because I'm very surprised that, I don't like this Agony design, because typically, I always consider Fortnite to be like the best. Like any character that appears in Fortnite, I say this all the time, they look better in Fortnite than they do in like most of their own media for the last 10 years. So I'm a little disappointed at the way she looks here. I haven't been really able to place it. I've been talking to Andrew about it all day, trying to like get my thoughts. I think what it is that like Agony's supposed to have like symbiote style, like a gooey flow hair, and this is just hair. I know it's made of symbiote, but it's just like hair. I don't know. It doesn't rock for me. Here, where is the picture I showed where I was like, this is more what I want. Dang, I can't find it. We talked a lot today. Well, poop me. But yeah, either we can just do this. Agony symbiote. Right, like to me, she's supposed to have more like it's like hair, but it's like gel. It's like part of her, not necessarily a separate element. So she doesn't look bad. It's just not for me. It's not a design. It's not an interpretation I'm a big fan of. If somebody else wants to grab it, that's all good. But yeah, that Agony isn't working for me. Volume Dealer says, I download Fortnite, but I played it for 1 minute and quit. That was me, Volume Dealer. Years ago, I downloaded Fortnite. I actually downloaded Fortnite the very first time when they added the Dragon Ball skins, because I was like, okay, you guys got me. I'll go in. I played it for like an hour, and then I was like, I don't know. I'm not really into this. This isn't my game right now. But as you guys may remember, I recently got dumped, and it's been, hard dealing with that and getting through it. So my post-breakup mindless distraction thing has been Fortnite. So like I've been playing with Andrew and Mary. I've been playing with my friends. I've got a bunch of Marvel skins now. So I sort of recognize it's not the greatest thing in the world, but it's at least good enough for me to, idly pass the time. Yeah, volume dealer. How do you get the Marvel characters? You have to buy them or grind to get credits. Yeah, it's a very, I wouldn't say microtransaction, but a very DLC heavy game, right? Like all your suits, all your characters, all that stuff. It's all paid for. But at the very least, like they do give you, like, I like that if you get the battle pass, they will give you enough credits to buy it again next season if you close it out. So that's sort of like a repeating loop. Things come in bundles. It can be cheap. And also, like, just sort of amassing your stable of how you want to play Fortnite can easily be cheaper than buying a full-fledged title. Like, I think right now I have, like, the Iron Spider, everybody from the Battle Pass, Dark Phoenix, and then the X-Men 97 crew. So Colossus, Jubilee, and Cyclops. And all together, for all of this stuff, even the Battle Pass, I think I've maybe spent $45, which, like, that's even cheaper than going out and buying whatever AAA better than buying Assassin's Creed Shadows, right? Whenever that happens. Yeah, Shinkai, the purple drank symbiote. Fortnite is very fun with friends. I very seldom ever played solo. I'd rather play something else. I've played solo. And again, most of my engagement is because, when it's really hard and sad to sleep at like 2:30 a.m. and none of your friends are awake, you have really no other option but to sort of mindlessly throw yourself into a single player match. So it can be fun. I forget how good I am at video games. I know that that's sort of a brag, but like even in solo mode, I can regularly place in the top 10 almost every match, unless I'm doing something intentionally stupid, like, oh, I want to just fly around the map with Iron Man's boots or something, right? If I'm trying, I can almost always get in that top tier. So, but no, way better with friends. I can sort of say that for any video game, right? Any video game is way better with friends. Yeah, volume dealer, exactly. Just because you do not take an interest in politics doesn't mean politics won't take an interest in you. I know, Timon. I'm so very humble with my my gamer skills. Let's see. I can just search in Andrew's chat. This is stupid. Did somebody delete it? Or am I only looking in like this one chat? This is weird. Wait a minute. Am I going crazy, guys? I think I'm going crazy. Oh no, there it is. Okay, where is this conversation? It is here. Why couldn't I find it? So this is sort of what I talk about when I talk about being careful about just supporting people who say what you want, right? So here's Mark Kern. We all know how I feel about Mark Kern, but he's been that anti-DEI activism crusader in video games for a while now, but because his entire online persona now is built on making you angry, no longer does he actually try to engage with anything. Now he just starts spouting the dumbest shit possible. So for example, right here, people are talking about Sweet Baby, and Kern jumps in here saying, like, look at all these horns. Does this scream good people to you? Like, very clearly playing the Satanic Panic card. And it's like, what the hell are you doing? Because then we have, our, I don't know if you guys know him, but A Drink with Crazy, he's in our spheres. He tweets at him, here's a part of my wife's collection. Does this make us bad people? Dude, stick to the facts, not speculation. Holy fuck, you're losing credibility. And it's like, that's the kind of shit I'm talking about. The people who say one good thing will very fast, very quickly devolve into, I'm going to say something just to rile my base up, just to react, just to get those points. Like, I want to show you one of the more sad things I saw out of his account this week, which was, can I find it? Is it easy? How far is this? Oh, his media tab goes way too far back. Yo. I wonder if he deleted it. That would be really funny. Nope. There we go. So This random Twitter user tweets at Kern and says, Silent Hill, you know, they made the strippers pregnant in Silent Hill 2 remake because of this sign where you can see she's got a little pudge. And Kern goes, ha ha ha, please tell me this is fake. Well, if you had played Silent Hill 2, if you'd actually engaged with this before just reacting, you would know it's not really fake. It's not really a thing. It is, if anything, it's actually a sexier version of the original sign here from Silent Hill 2, where you could see that the stripper had a pudge, but in this one, she's like leaning up, she's got heels on. If anything, it's a reversal, right? It's making it more salacious, which is something you rarely see. But this, you know, this Dread Roberts guy says, not fake, but no difference either. And Kern just goes, still funny. And it's like, and somebody points it out here. Yeah, it's funny that most of the comments to this are pointing out it's exactly like the original. Funny that you're trying to rile up your already idiotic fan base over something that wasn't changed. Bruh, this is rage bait. Stop jumping the gun to call everything woke. It's getting insufferable and akin to lefties crying that everything victimizes them. Like, this right here is what I'm talking about. Don't go for the people who actually engage, who actually care about these things, and don't just look at everything from a culture war perspective. Obviously, there is a culture war going on. These are topics to be discussed. But when you get so poisoned by that discourse that you end up like this, you're not helping anybody. And in fact, you're actively hurting your side, right? That's probably the main reason I take such issue with the way people like Grums operate. This isn't helping our side by any metric. This is making us look worse. It's only appealing to the, whatchamacallit, like the people who already agree with you. And it gives the other side ammunition to go, look, do not listen to them, right? The main reason I criticize Kern is because I want better for this hobby, for all of our hobbies. I don't want one set of morons replaced with another set of censorious morons, right? Like, we need to get back to the people who actually genuinely care about this medium, about video games, about stories, about characters, and not just how can I pump up my own person, my own profile. Right? Like, and so, like, yeah, that's just been, we don't need to spend a lot more time on this because I know we've spent a lot, but that's sort of just like the big thing all of this week has sort of, I disconnected my thing. That's sort of the big topic that's been brewing in my head this week is just the discourse is out of control. We're rocketing towards an ever puritanical future, and the useful idiots are right on board, whether they're on the left or right, you know, throwing everything away. It like, you know what this does? Calling things out and calling things woke and being extremely insulting and aggressive about it, it doesn't help anybody. What it does is it'll appeal to your base and people who already think like that, but the people that we are trying to reach out to, the normies who might not understand everything that's going on, they don't want to engage with somebody whose opening of all their videos is just, check out this ugly bitch at Kotaku. Right? We need to be able to talk with them and present them the facts and show them we're not that insane. We're not crazy, you know, bigots or whatever. But the more we play into that and happily play into that, the more it not only gives people excuses to write us off, but it also makes the ideological opponents more spiteful. So now they go, okay, well, they didn't like that. Well, I'm going to do this to this character. I'm going to do that. And I don't really give a shit. And it's this spiral. This ping-ponging spiral that nothing will ever get better from. So it's all, be better with your information sources, read Bounding, but also read other people because there are other perspectives to get out, like to read out there. So that's sort of all I really have to say right there. So first of all, it's not I hate when it's called an anime because it's not an anime, it's just an animated series. But how is it? I've heard very, very mixed things on that Tomb Raider series because, actually not even mixed, I've been hearing very middling things. Like even IGN gave it a 5. So I never really had any intention of checking it out. A, because it didn't look that good to me, and B, I'm unlike my good friend Andrew. I'm not a big fan of the Square Enix, what's it called? The Survivor storyline of Laura. Like, I like OG Laura. And it's a Netflix animated series. I can almost guarantee you I know how this all plays out. She's going to have, her companions who and she's going to have self-doubt a lot, and they're going to be the ones to show her, oh, no, you're okay. You're a Croft. You're the best. And it's just going to be very poorly animated, I presume. So I'm glad you're enjoying it. Let me know how it is. Maybe if I hear a good rec from you or anybody else in our arena, I might check it out. But as it is, that's probably going to be a pass for me. Again, I am very, very burned from the Castlevania. What the hell was that? We reviewed it here. Not the main series, but the whatchamacallit? Oh, God. Like Nocturne, I think it was called, the one about Richter. That was so bad. You can go check out like the 10th episode of the show for when I did a breakdown of it. But that series was so bad that I was just like, I'm done with you, Lara Croft. Or not Lara Croft, Netflix animation. Yeah, Zero says, Silent Hill 2 is a mixed bag. I saw there were quite a few people on the anti-woke side that seemed to enjoy it. I hate engaging in these sort of like anti-woke sides because I think that entire discourse is stupid. But for the most part, I have been seeing really, really positive reactions to Silent Hill 2. What I've been seeing is people are really liking the for the most part, I've been hearing that it handled the story and all its beats pretty accurately and well. There are changes I have heard that would personally ding this for me really big. One of them is there is censorship throughout the game. There is, like, for example, there is like the Pyramid Head scene is no longer present according to reports. There's a bit where Maria takes out her old outfit from Silent Hill 1 or the original Silent Hill 2 out of a closet and like shows it off, and like she makes like a comment about it. And I don't like that because to me, covering up Maria and giving her a less like 2000s preppy teenage girl look, you know, she had the mini skirt, like the leather mini skirt and the like pink leopard print jacket. That's the point, right? Because Silent Hill 2, in case you guys don't know, like that's James going through his own sort of messed up mind and what he perceives the world as, and that's what he thought of Maria. Like that was sort of the thing you learn later on, that he like looked at her and as just like a sex object, and that like helped to kill her and stuff. And so like taking that away sort of crushes that narrative, but then pointing it out and making a snark about it makes me go, you really, really, like, okay, you got the aesthetics, but you really, really didn't understand what this game is about, which is what we've seen out of like all the last 3 or 4 Silent Hill games, like Downpour and 4 was okay, but like Downpour, Homecoming, those are all terrible. That get the Silent Hill aesthetic, but they don't understand what Silent Hill is. So like that bothers me. And then more overtly, more generally, which is I am not a fan of the increase in combat in this game, right? Like there's way more combat. It's like third person over the shoulder, Resident Evil style. I don't like that because, again, I think that defeats the entire purpose of what you're playing a horror game, and specifically Silent Hill for. So I personally don't have a big attachment to Silent Hill 2, luckily enough. But if you're enjoying it, go for it. If you're not, I understand why. And I'm probably not going to pick it up. I'd much rather probably go play the old Silent Hill 2, maybe with like an HD mod to, you know, smooth out some of the textures or something. But yeah, most of these remakes, I know they're coming out and they're good, but to me, so many of them miss such core elements of what that initial experience was that it feels bad to me. I wouldn't go so far as to say soulless, but I can feel that corporate like cynicism sort of dripping off of it when they go, oh, we're going to change the identity of the game. So yeah, that's pretty much all the take I have on Silent Hill 2 remake. Let's see. Knowing there are RE character mods for Silent Hill 2 kind of makes me want to play it, but I'll probably wait and just replay the remakes instead for now. Well, like, see, to me, even if you modded in a Resident Evil character, it doesn't work. That kind of, like, that isn't what this game is. This is such a story character driven game that putting somebody else in there as like your first playthrough or your main playthrough just kind of defeats the purpose. Like, and like, there's nothing wrong with that, but like, to me, if you're gonna go in, you're gonna play the game for the first time, maybe do it like at least with the main character. And yeah, so like, I wouldn't be a fan of that, but I get why somebody would be. Andrew says, I get it about Tomb Raider. I love both quite a lot, but this cartoon is doing some extra dumb stuff from what I'm hearing. Pass. So yeah, like I'm not gonna check it out. Oh, okay. Andrew says I played the original first two back in the day. Okay, then my criticism doesn't apply. Just the way you phrased that right there, it sounded like that's what you were gonna do for the first playthrough, and I was like, I don't know about that. Let's see. Shinkai asks, speaking of animated series, was the Terminator any good? Asking as someone who didn't really see the movies. I don't know. Let's get off of this. We don't need to look at this. Let's just bring up something or you know what? I can just do like Terminator anime. Let me just bring this up, play it in the background. Whoa! My bad. That was super loud. So I have heard virtually nothing about Tomb Raider, about this Terminator animated series. I know it exists. Like I literally I've heard nobody talk about it. I could not tell you what like sort of the read on the street is because I haven't heard anybody talk about it. I haven't seen reviews. The only reason I particularly centered Terminator for this bit is because like this, I just wanted to speak real quick on sort of something that's been on my mind a lot. I know I've talked to Andrew about it and some other friends about it, but it's been on my mind a lot with a lot of these new projects from 80s movies and stuff. And then, of course, in light of the announcement last night, or the confirmation last night, that a new Ghostbusters movie is in the works. I have not ever really been a fan of the idea of making, you know, Ghostbusters, Terminator, a lot of the things from the 80s, early 90s, those movies, maybe those two-part movies we liked, I think making them a franchise kind of destroys their mystique, that specialness. It for some reason, it like Hollywood just cannot make good franchises out of these types of things, right? Like, and I think a big problem with that is you have to keep continually upping the ante. And so that first story about Terminator, about the T1, the first Terminator of Arnold and then the T-1000, like that's scary, but then you already have like the world's over. What do we do? So then you have to start bringing in, you know, like AI, and then, oh, we're taking over car, and just, it gets weird and ridiculous, and it feels like you're stretching and reaching for things to talk about rather than having something organic to actually talk about. Ghostbusters to me is even worse because to me that was just supposed to be a single, maybe two movie comedy series. Trying to make them like serious characters has just never worked for me. Like Extreme Ghostbusters was fine, it's good, but overall, yeah, I'm not a fan of these things trying to be franchises. It just doesn't work for me. And maybe if maybe there are counter arguments there that I'm just not considering, and we can talk about it. But yeah, like it's like this, RoboCop, Ghostbusters, Jurassic Park, kinda. I mean, something about these properties don't lend themselves to being franchised or franchised easily well. I don't know what I'm trying to say here, but that's sort of my read on it. So I'll admit, like, the Terminator series looks beautifully animated, but I have no interest in Terminator as a franchise, like a franchise thing. I remember earlier this week I went to the comic book store to pick up my books, and I guess a new Terminator series released, and I had the same opinion. I sort of like looked at the whole shelf of like 5 covers, and I was like, can we stop? Can we stop trying to do this? There's no special stories left to tell anymore, right? Like, I would watch something if Terminator did like an Animatrix style anthology type thing, and you had just various stories about like resistance soldiers trying to resist, or scientists trying to like make their weapon or whatever, that would be more interesting to me. I just, like, the more you try and do like this guy's like this is the big all catch all event, I don't know, none of this lends itself to big explosive epics. It just they're cool outings is sort of what I want to say. Why am I recalling that people were praising that Terminator series? They might have been. Like, they might have been. I'm just saying, this is me personally, like, not even trying to say, like, other outlets or something haven't done it. I just personally have not seen anything like that come across my two eyeballs. And so I wouldn't be, I would be ethically disingenuous if I didn't just outright tell you guys, like, I can't give you a read of it. Well, here's our first review. Our boy Tahillim says, Terminator Zero, I have enjoyed the episodes I've watched so far. And you know what? I can attest for the fact that Tahillim has a generally pretty good taste. No, I'm kidding. You have very good taste. So that's a recommendation for me. I'm like, again, I don't want any of these to particularly fail. You know, if something is good, then be good. It's just, this is not something that's going to work for me. Okay, never mind. Volume Dealer, I was out and Volume Dealer brought me right back in. Just give us RoboCop versus Terminator. But see, that's the sort of small scale stupid thing I think would work, right? Just like, oh, RoboCop, they sent like a Terminator back in time and RoboCop has to stop him. There's no end of the world. It's just RoboCop trying to stop a criminal. Or RoboCop gets activated in the Terminator future, and his programming, he tries to eke out his programming as best he could in this new wasteland. Like that, those are the things I want to see. But I don't want to see a RoboCop versus Terminator where it becomes like, RoboCop, you're the chosen RoboCop. You have to beat him here because then you go on to go into stasis and lead the rebellion. You have to do, like, that kind of shit is just like, it's the syndrome thing. When everything is special, nobody is special. But the more you tell like grounded stories about just the troops on the ground, not your Kyle Reese's or whatever, the more Kyle Reese's struggle and the Terminator setting speaks to us, gets at us. So yeah, that's really what I have to say. Yeah, Volume Dealer, I enjoyed the Animatrix back in the day. I still go back and watch that. I love the Animatrix. If you like the Animatrix, that same, or not the same team, but it was sort of the same producers. They, gosh, oh my gosh, it's got to be like 10 years now, more than that. But they did a Batman one called Gotham, or Batman. I think it's either like Batman the Dark Knight or something like that. But it was really, really cool. I would highly recommend checking that one out if you like that Animatrix vignette style thing. I enjoy the Kong animated series. I remember that. I don't remember it being good. And that's not saying like I think it's bad. I don't remember enough about it to have an opinion. Just like I remember there was a 98 Godzilla movie or cartoon, and I couldn't tell you a thing about that except for like he fights like other monsters, which was kind of cool. Sort of like a proto King of the Monsters thing. Yeah, that's all I remember about those. Andrew says, like, I love all the Jurassic films, sans Jurassic Park 3. But that's, well, I don't know why you like the Fallen Worlds and the Fallen Kingdom stuff. Like, those are just god-awful movies. So, like, I'm sorry, I got to break with your opinion there. But that's sort of what I'm saying, right? Is, like, Jurassic Park 1, that worked. Jurassic Park 2, there was still a story to tell. You could still up the ante realistically. You get to Jurassic Park 3, and you're like, why are we even... Like, after the events of Jurassic Park 1 and 2, why did anybody think it was a good idea to try and transport these things out into the, like, general populace? So, like, that's where these things just start to break down in cohesion. And I start looking at it going, you're all dumb. Why would I want to root for you in the first place? I will admit Jurassic Park 3 does have a special place in my heart because that Tyrannosaurus Rex scene takes place in San Diego, like in actual San Diego, and I can recognize it, and that's where I grew up in my hometown and everything. So yeah, like I like that bit about Jurassic Park 3, but I'm with you there. Like 1 and 2, great. But for everything else, really, 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 really stupid. I think the closest the franchise has had to an okay escalation was Jurassic World, where they were like, all right, it's not a park, it's an island now, and it's mainly a research center. And I was like, okay, that makes sense. But then they immediately threw that away when they were like, oh, we can, oh, is that number 2? Okay, then I like number 2. I don't even remember. Oh, number 3 is where they have the Velociraptor talking to him, and he goes, Alan. Never mind. That's what I like from 3. I like the San Diego from 2. Thank you, Timon and Andrew. But, where even was I? Oh, yeah. see, Fallen or Lost King, whatever the first one was with Chris Pratt. I was behind that. I was like, okay, that makes sense. But then they did the thing where they were like, oh, but we're gonna have like that stupid ride attraction with the balls. Here, I'm gonna bring it up to show you what I'm talking about. Jurassic. Oh, I spelled that wrong. Jurassic Park ball ride. Yeah, this stupid thing. Wait, don't play. Okay, it's muted. Good. So like the second they introduced this stupid shit, well, Jimmy Kimmel included, that was like, I rolled my eyes in the theater so hard. I was like, I'm so mad I paid for a Jimmy Kimmel thing. But when they showed this scene and it's like tourists can just go hyper close up to these brontosaurus that could easily crush your like a ball because they weigh tons. This is where it lost me because I'm like, oh, so you're just the same kind of stupid that you have literally always been. And yeah, oh, bulletproof glass. Okay, that's not going to stop the crushing power of the brontosaurus. Like, get to the brontosaurus already. I don't care about you, kid. Or the stegosaurus even. These things are fucking huge. You're not going to... This part just made me... It was so dumb. The fact that they even put manual controls in this thing was even more stupid. The fact that it could be accessed by like kids by like pushing a button, even dumber. So, and like, that's what I mean, right? The escalation, all of this doesn't make sense. Now, like, you go, oh, they're in trouble because their ride went awry. And it's like, okay, but half of the problems are because you guys designed the ride extremely poorly, right? Like it's just, none of this works for me. I'm feeling it. Like, it's just, I don't think I've ever publicly talked like online in my online personality career about this, but like this has always been one of my least, or not even least favorite, but like most hated scenes in probably all of cinema, just because it defies the rule. It literally breaks every rule everybody knows about life and safety and operations, and is just... So right there, I think that was the moment where I was like, I'm done with this entire thing. This is so stupid. And then I gave the second one a chance because they were like, oh, it's going to be dinosaurs out in the wild. Look, they're in cities. We got to go wrangle them up. And it was not. It was some dumb clone bullshit story. And you know how I feel about clone stories. All right? Reeve, I definitely would be feeling it more if I played Xenoblade. But if I played Xenoblade, I wouldn't have time to think about how stupid this ball ride is. It would be... The cats and dogs living together, mass hysteria. Yeah. Oh my! I totally forgot about that, Timon. Yeah. Later on, the kid there, the older brother, fixes the like old, busted down, decrepit, 15-year-old Jurassic Park Jeep, and it totally works. Like, just several different war crimes happen in this movie, and I say war crimes because right before I said that, I remembered the biggest crime, and I would consider it a war crime. They flattened Bryce Dallas Howard's butt on the poster. I don't know if you guys remember this, but here, let's see. Bryce Dallas Howard butt poster. Okay, please give me something correct. Yeah. So like, there's Bryce, and then there's her on the poster for that movie. So like, why would you do that? Like, why would you do that to such a beautiful woman? She's proud of it. It's what I was talking about before, right? Like, no sex whatsoever. No inkling of something that could get your pants jumping. Neither whether you're a woman or a man. It does not matter. You're not allowed to see jack. You are supposed to be ashamed of yourself, and you are supposed to not even do it in private, right? Again, these neo-leftists are just the same as the old church ladies who clutch their pearls at Pokemon. It is literally... That was the joke, Andrew, but it was also a deep dive, because if you know me, you know I don't like the Clone Saga, but I do like what they did with Ben. So, ow, I just stabbed myself with the thing I was fidgeting with. Yeah, the only good from the new one was the chick getting eaten by a pterodon and the dino fish. There's that moment, Timon, and then my actual favorite moment from these remake movies is when the breakout finally happens at like the middle point of whatever the first one was, Jurassic World, like when all the gates break and they start storming like that main pavilion, when the attacks start happening, there's a guy who, like, when he sees them all coming, instead of just running, he makes sure to grab both of his like really fancy cocktails and then he runs. And I'm like, that is relatable. Here, I'll find it again. Jurassic World drinks. Yeah, Margarita Man. Yeah, this is my favorite bit here, because like everybody's hanging out and this dad, this like Mark Wahlberg, or this like Timu Mark Wahlberg Patrick Wilson notices something's wrong. By the way, I like that building though. I think it would be really cool to like stand in there, see an exhibit or whatever. But yeah, see, everybody starts like freaking out and they're running like, pterodons. And yeah, where's the guy? I think he's in like the next shot. Yeah, that guy, like, hey, give my drinks. That's my hero right there. But yeah, like this is the stuff I want to see from a Jurassic Park movie. More the like the terror of dinosaurs interacting with people, less like one person trying to escape from all the dinosaurs. This is seriously just making me want to rewatch the whole franchise. I mean, if you want to endure the Jurassic World, I can't stop you, but I might disavow you every time we're on stream together again. Let me see. Yeah, Opie made that, but the best of Jurassic World is Hai-Shi. What's that? I don't know what that is. Maybe I do, and I just don't recognize the abbreviation. Oh, yeah, the How It Should Have Ended. That's right. Right. Yeah, no, I actually enjoy most of his takes on everything. Let's see. Shinkai says, calling the animated series just a fun, decent Monster of the Week show. Not deep, but love some of the old Monsters of the Week. There were a bit cheese like Archie's Weird Mysteries. That's what I sort of remembered. Yeah, I like that kind of stuff. I do enjoy Monster of the Week stuff, but again, I'm a Toku fan, so that's basically the entire format. And then, yeah, see, Volume Dealer's sort of with me here. There's not much you can do with Jurassic Park. All you can do is make video games like Turok, and I really wish Valiant actually made a good movie. Getting Vin to play Vin as Bloodshot was a waste of time. So I 100% agree with Volume right here. I mean, yeah, I've already talked about how you can't really do much with Jurassic Park. The literal escalation there, right, Volume Dealer, is, okay, we brought back dinosaurs. They were a threat to these people. Okay, now the dinosaurs break out and they're a threat to the general populace. All you can really do back from there is like, okay, fight time, like war against the dinosaurs. And like, it should not be that hard to make a Turok movie, but for some reason it is. And yeah, I agree with you on the Valiant stuff. I was okay with Vin Diesel being casted as Bloodshot. I thought that they could, Bloodshot. The performance, yeah, ended up just being Vin as Vin, and it was the dumbest thing. And they did the Surf Dracula thing, where in case you guys don't know what this term is, I use this term a lot because it happens in all of our modern media. But there's this awesome tweet from Topher Florence here from 2021. Quote, back in the day, if you did a TV show called Surf Dracula, you'd see that fool surfing every week in new adventures. But in the streaming era, the entire first season got to be a long-ass flashback to how he got the surfboard until you finally see him surf for 5 minutes in the finale. That's what Bloodshot was. I wanted Bloodshot, but he wasn't even like cybernetic Bloodshot until the very end. And even then, it wasn't like the nanites making his skin pale. It was just chalk from the surrounding environment that they were fighting in. Yeah. Total miss. Definitely destroyed any chance we got of getting a good Valiant universe. And it makes me really sad because in terms of Valiant, yeah, it's probably one of my least read publishers, but Quantum and Woody is such a genuinely, like, a delight of a series. Like, it's fun. It balances serious with like, it's just good. I would recommend anybody go read Quantum and Woody if you are in the mood for like a good it's sort of like, imagine if imagine if Booster Gold and Batman teamed up, and like that dynamic, how it would work off of them, but they liked each other. Like, I know Batman doesn't like Booster, but that's sort of the dynamic they have. One of them is like, we got to be serious heroes, and the other is like, but we're heroes, man. Like, this is cool. So I wanted to see a good Quantum and Woody project, and I don't think we probably just will never do that, or we will never get that. Oh yeah, Gargoyles is a deep show. By the way, like NECA started making Gargoyles toys, and they made one of Thanatos in his red armor, and I'm like, I want that. But if you guys know me, that means with my like OCD and my tendencies, I would have to just like deep dive into buying all of them. And I don't want to buy all of them. I just want Thanatos and his armor. Yeah, exactly, Timo. We need Dino Crisis. They keep teasing Dino Crisis, Capcom does, and I don't know why they just won't. Here's... Okay, this is sort of a detour, but this is actually something that you just sparked in me, Timon. Yeah, volume like the Eternal Brothers, Shadow Man, Exo Man of War. I wanted that too. I still think that's such an easy concept. Just Roman Gladiator in an Iron Man suit. He doesn't even have any deeper motivations than like I just want to fight. So I totally am so sad that did not ever come to fruition. Bottom of the sixth, 1-0 Dodgers. All right, you know what? That's fine. The last game we played, the Dodgers blew us out like 11-0. Like the first game in the series, they won. Then we beat them like 14-3. Then they blew us out like 11-0, and now here we are. It's been all over the place. But this reminds me that I want to talk about... Where is that article? Oh, it's already gone. We've been writing a lot. There it is. So, earlier this week, in case you guys didn't see it, the CEO of Saber Interactive, which is the developer that makes, or the studio that makes Space Marine 2, he basically gave this interview to IGN talking about, here's the current state of the industry. People are, it's sort of in a recession. We can't afford all this anymore. That's why people overexpanded way beyond their means. The crash wasn't going to last forever. Sort of the stuff I and all of us here, we always regularly tout as this is what's happening to the market. But the takeaway, as you can see that I highlighted here in the headline over on Bounding, is that he basically said like middle market titles are going to come back in fashion. And so with the mention of Dino Crisis here, Timon, what the connection here is that I am hopeful. So middle market titles, I think, are some of the absolute best titles. I am a big fan of the belief, or I'm a big supporter of the idea that limitations foster greater creativity than just open freedom to do whatever you want. When you have restrictions, you have to be creative. You have to get around them. When you don't, you can just do whatever, and everybody says, good job. And that's how we get things like Concord or Diablo Immortal or whatever, things like that. But like, if you guys remember, so there's a couple points I need to hit here. One, if you guys might not know this unless you're a hyper weeb like I am. Maybe Shinkai knows this. Maybe Zero knows this, considering his video game knowledge. But back in the PS1, PS2, PS3-ish era, in Japan, there was this line of games called the Super 1000 titles. And they were budget titles that I think they sold for like $20 like on release. And they weren't the best design, they weren't the smoothest, but a lot of them had these creative innovations. They had a lot of soul, a lot of personality. If you guys know what Onichabra is, which is the video game series where you are basically a Japanese girl in a bikini, cowboy boots, and a cowboy hat with a samurai sword chopping up all the undead, that started as like one of those series. There was even a Kamen Rider cheap battler that they made. So like those games don't require a lot, but they have soul. They last. People remember them. I'm such a big fan of this idea of bringing back middle market games, because not only, all of the AAA problems we talk about aside, overexpansion, greed, 9-year development cycles, $400 million budgets, all of that aside, which are very big problems, on a personal level, like, I don't know about you guys, but I'm not 15 anymore. I don't have the free time to sink every night 6, 7, 10 hours into a video game. I don't get to come home, do homework, and it's over for the night. I've got work. I've got responsibilities. I've got projects I need to work on, like creative stuff. So every time when a company goes, here's our new entry, it's a 50 fucking hour game that you need to invest your entire life into. And by the way, we're going to have season passes and DLC. I just go, then I'm not playing it. Unless it's something I fucking love, like a Kingdom Hearts or Final Fantasy VII, I'm not buying it because I don't have the time and I need to be selective. This is a little gloom and doomy, but it's like, I'm 34. I don't have all the time in the world left to play video games. So I don't want to waste it on your 40-hour piece of shit Far Cry expansion. But the more you bring in middle titles like this, not only do you avoid all of those pitfalls of, you know, putting all this time and effort and money into a game for it to flop and the studio shutting down because they couldn't take the resources, they couldn't weather it. You avoid that. You're allowed to, remember back in the day when, you know, you could develop a game in 2 years, it would release, it might do bad, but you would go, dang, that didn't hit. Let's go back to the drawing board. Maybe you have layoffs if it was a particularly bad hit, but you don't shutter studios. You don't rearrange everything. You go, all right, that didn't work. Can we improve? How can we improve? Is there a market for us, like, willing to let us improve? What do we do? And then you go and you make that next title with the lessons you learned. You don't spend 9 fucking years going, let me get everything right. I need to make sure every single thing is right for every single audience. And then in the end, it isn't even right. Like, it's all broken and busted. So I would love more middle market games to come out. I know Helldivers 2 is a big one that a lot of people are playing. I know people love Space Marine 2. I haven't played either of those two yet because I've been busy. But the one that comes to mind for me is, I don't know if anybody else played this last year, but last year I picked this up specifically because people said it was like a throwback style game. But this game, Evil West, it's a Western, I don't want to say steampunk, but you can see like there's like Batman tech. I don't know what you want to call it. I don't think it's steampunk, but it's just like there's tech. There's appropriate weaponry tech, I guess, for that era. But it's basically, you know, cowboys versus vampires, where you go and you take out all these different dens of various vampire bosses, and you acquire a new move after each area. And it was only like a 20-25 hour game. I think it released for like $40. It plays, so this is just the trailer. Do they show any gameplay? Okay, so you're seeing the gameplay now. It's very much like a Resident Evil over-the-shoulder Gears of War style gameplay, and it moves sort of as clunkily. But this was like my game of the year. It focused so much on just delivering what it did that it all sort of worked. I mean, it's not the perfect game. It's not the best game ever, but it's easily one of the ones that stands out to me as I was playing it and going, I'm having fun. Like I've gotten to the point, especially because of my job, and where I'm very cynical about stories. Like, I don't really care about this. I know how this is gonna go. I might pick that back up later. But with this game, I was like, it's a little bit of a cheesy story, but it's so sincere. Like, they know what they're doing. They're not trying to aim and convince you that this is a quadruple age title or anything. Like, it just worked for me. I love this game. I really recommend everybody play it, but I was so happy to play a reasonably developed game. You know, that's not a dig on this game. I love this game. Objectively, I give this game like an 8.5, maybe a 9 if I'm super stoned while playing it, right? But it still has a limitation. It still has its budget, its level. So, to the point about Dino Crisis, Timon, I think that if this shift really does happen, if the video game industry truly embraces a shift towards lower budgets, more medium-sized games, I think that is where the perfect opportunity comes to do revivals or test your revivals for things like Dino Crisis or Mega Man or Project Number 3, Beautiful Joe. I know I'm just saying Capcom one, so that's because that's the trail we're on. But right, like, and that makes me happier because all of those characters, all of these things had more passion and just style and soul in them than practically anything coming out of AAA these days. There is a clip. I don't know if you guys ever watched a show called New Girl. I mean, it's a pretty popular show, but if you, in case you haven't seen it, it's the one with Zooey Deschanel where she was like, she was living with like 4 roommates in Los Angeles in that loft. I enjoyed it quite a lot. I had a lot of fun with it. Jake in that show, I forget the actors. I think it's like Jake something, but in that show, the actor who plays Jake, that is the voice of Spider-Man in the Spider-Verse movies. Corey, he has to head out. He's got early work tomorrow. Later, Spencer. Later, Corey. I'm sure I will see you over the weekend in the Discord. If not, hopefully I will see you on Sunday for our usual razzing of Andrew during the community night. I saw a good chunk of it with my ex. Oh yeah, new girl. Yeah, sorry. For a second there, I was like, what the fuck is he talking about? You saw a lot of it? Like, you saw Evil West? Like, nobody knows about... Okay, yeah. So, yeah, New Girl, good show. I liked it, at least. The guy who plays Jake, that is... It's Peter B. Parker in the Spider-Verse movies. But more to the point, there is this scene. Let me see if I can actually pull it up. But I'll also tell you about it as soon as I enter my search terms. Okay, they don't have it easily accessible on YouTube. So there's a scene where Zooey Deschanel, one of her roommates, comes and is supporting, she's on a blind date. Her roommate is in the restaurant, cheering her on or whatever, sitcom setup. And the date eventually leaves, and she's like, yeah, I didn't really like him. And so he goes over to her table and sits down. He's like, but you did good, girl. This is getting yourself back out there. You're dating. Come on, let's celebrate. What do you want to eat? I know you didn't eat when he was here. So he grabs the menu and he starts he's like, do you want a flatbread? Do you want pasta? Do you want a burger? And then he goes, ooh, I think this menu does too much. And that's all. I always laughed at that. But as I've grown older, that quote sticks out in my mind, especially when it comes to video games, right? Look at AAA video games. They try to do everything. They want to be a live service. They want you to check in daily. They want you to roll for gacha on them. They want you to continually, be upgrading your characters. Here's not a dating sim, but here's a mode where you can go and get to know the characters. If you played Midnight Suns, the Marvel game from last year, they had a mode like that where you just go and talk to the other Avengers and build your relationship meter. Not necessarily romantic, but just your friendship meter. So they try to do that. They try to have crafting. They try to put survival mechanics in it. They put in build your own vehicle modes. They put in shop simulators. They put in super intricate quests that take you hours, that go all over and are filled with super high fantasy concepts or whatever. Then they put in really dumb toilet humor poop joke characters to appeal to that crowd. They do too much, right? They just, you look at that and you go, you're trying way too hard. Are you going to give attention to what you need to give attention to, right? So when I go to, if I see a place that's we do chicken, and I go in and they're like, we sell chicken and we have drinks and maybe a dessert. What chicken do you want? There I go, I'm going to get some bomb ass fucking chicken right now. This is going to slap. But if I go to Cheesecake Factory, which I don't get me wrong, but it's it'll be serviceable or a little elevated over serviceable. Ultimate Jed McKay style, if you will. There's only one person in the chat who's going to understand what that reference is. The absolute disrespect you get in your own server. Well, if you get, if you were good at video games. No, I'm kidding. See, yeah, Andrew uses the term steampunkish army of two. Okay, this is actually a really good description. Evil West is Western steampunkish army of two with vampires. But I hesitate to call it steampunk, mostly because I fucking hate steampunk, and all the people who in the mid 2000s were super into it. They just annoyed the hell out of me. And they were the most embarrassing. Okay, at least in California, people like to make jokes about oh, people wear their fursuits or whatever to class. That doesn't really happen. But when I was in school, people would wear people do wear eccentric items, but it was always steampunk. You're wearing your steampunk top hat, your steampunk bustier, and I was just this is dumb. Not even it's cool. Wear your fashion. I actually really support that, but this just looks incredibly stupid. So maybe it's my own hesitance to steampunk, but I don't know, is like bullet punk something? Like that's what it feels like more, because more of the tech is used to like create weaponry than it is transportation or any of that sort of stuff. So obviously that is that we're just semantic debating here, but yeah, like more Evil West type games, please. I think you would be able to recoup so much money. Your teams would learn so much more experience, and you can build like franchises and get people on board. Like, for example, do you guys remember what the hell was that game? Immortals of Avium. It was this like magic-based first-person shooter that came out earlier this year. It did terribly. It did so bad that like the studio had to shut down. It was bad. The game itself was like a solid 7, maybe an 8, but like nobody wanted to pick it up. Nobody bought into the marketing. It just flopped, just a straight flop. But I look at a title like that and I go, you make that a middle-level game, and boom, even if it does flop, you don't have to fire everybody. The studio remains. They get their experience, and people can go, oh, the people behind Immortals of Avium, where I liked some of it, they have a new game. Maybe they've improved. Let's go check it out. But now you go, they didn't make Call of Duty money. We are straight out of here. We are gone. Shut it down. Find us recognizable IP to do anything with. I mean, guys, they're doing a live-action Voltron movie with Henry Cavill. I love Voltron. I love Henry Cavill. I don't see this as anything more than like a nostalgic cash grab. What can Henry even do? Like, genuinely, I've been confused for the last like 2 days. What role does Henry play? He's I can't get it. But yeah, that the whole cynical cash grabbing, I know I'm sort of trailing off here at the end of it, but more to the point, more middle style games, more Evil Wests, more care, right? Again, I want better for this hobby. I want people in charge and people working in it who actually care about it, who actually want to make a video game or care about like how does a player interact with their settings, with their surround. Like that's the stuff I care about more than like how do I get player engagement. Like player engagement has become one of the dumbest metrics that we have adopted in video game discourse, because that's the type of stupid shit that companies should be concerned about, and they also shouldn't be concerned about. But if anybody was going to talk about it, it should be them. Players going like, look, this game lost 75% of its player base. Duh! It's like, okay, but the game is like 3 months old. It's a single player game. What the hell do you expect from people? I mean, obviously the one you guys can probably glean that I'm referencing is Hogwarts Legacy, but it happens with every video game that comes out. Oh, guess you guys didn't really like that, and it's like, we beat it. Are we just supposed to sit and stay idling in Final Fantasy Tactics on the menu for hours just because it's our favorite game or something? No, we put it away. We go on to the next thing. It's such a bad idea. This idea of we want you in our ecosystem. They want to build ecosystems for you to interact in rather than just give you like a product to enjoy and then move on with. That's the insidious shit, and that is what is making everything worse, because everything has to be developed and facilitated with that idea of how do I retain the viewers? How do I keep their attention here for 90 years? It's so bad. And yeah, dude, Timon, yeah, that's a really good point. Cavill has the worst agent. Okay, I love that man. I think that guy is really cool. I thought he was a perfect Clark Kent and Superman as an actor. Of course, I don't care for what Snyder did with the character. He's just like I liked him in, what was it, The Man from U.N.C.L.E. That was actually a surprisingly, I had low expectations for that film, but it actually was a fun romp. I wouldn't say it's like an amazing movie, but it's fun. But yeah, things like Argyle, things like The Witcher, okay, not The Witcher. That should have been a win. It was Netflix who screwed him there. But yeah, things like Argyle, things like Voltron. I do hope Cavill gets a really, really a better agent. Does Cheesecake Factory have cheesecake? None appeared in the Big Bang Theory, the shit show. They do have cheesecake, but generally they are sort of kept like, if this is the dining area, right? Like you come in here, this is the dining area. they're kept like on a separate bakery like wall section on the side of the restaurant because you can go see them make it, and they're all in like fancy display cases. So it's there, and they're pretty good, but it's still just like it's a chain restaurant experience. Like it's good, don't get me wrong. Again, ultimate Jed McKay. It's top tier serviceable, bordering on to I can really like it at times. Or Kane and Lynch. This is good to Hillam. Basically a DMC or a Van Helsing game. Less DMC because you can't like jump. You can't. The agility's not there, right? You're not going into the air. You're not double jumping. There's not like smooth weapon swapping or whatever. But it's Van Helsing is a really good way to put it. It's like a Van Helsing Gears of War. Shinkai says, not sure if this counts as a middle market game. Said this once, we'll say it 1,000 times. Will kill to get Steambot Chronicles 2. I would actually argue maybe the original wasn't made as a middle market game, but I think if we wanted it to, because, okay, you know me, Shinkai, I love that game too. Every time you bring it up, I'm like, does anybody else ever remember this game? Because it rules. But I think that's exactly what I'm talking about. A middle ground area for, like, moderately budgeted games or whatever. We can get a Steambot Chronicles 2. And if that does well, we get a 3 where they blow that shit out. And they go like, all right, we got all the money, we got all the support, we know what you guys want now. Boom! Here's a really, really, really good Steambot Chronicles follow-up. So, I know I'm being optimistic. I want optimism here because I want things to get better. Truthfully, it's just a wait-and-see game. And that's really all it can really boil down to. Damn it, LA scored again. They have 2 now. All right. But that's sort of all that popped up there. Oh, that's cool. Eric actually streamed some of Evil West. He was digging it. Good. Yeah, no, it's very diggable. I liked it a lot. Yeah, there you go. Andrew had it. The Bikini Samurai Zombie Slayers. There you go. Shinkai also knows that. Onichabra and Senran Kagura. That was another one that was sort of started as like a budgeter title. And Timon sort of sums it all up right here. Less focus on graphics, more focus on gameplay and story, right? I would even argue that story, yes, a good story is great, but you also don't need to put like, I need to make the biggest, most original epic of all time. There's nothing wrong with, following archetype stories and putting a twist on them. Zelda does that all the time. Zelda boils down to hero needs to save the princess and stop the bad guy. That's what almost all of the games are. And yet it's still going. We still get behind it, right? So I want good stories, but I want to make like the distinction to like make sure you don't get carried away and you try to write the next like BioShock or what people think of when we talk about BioShock. Yeah, that's sorry I muted myself right there. My dogs are they hear something. Let me hold on 1 second. You guys can watch the Evil West trailer with sound while I go take care of this, like, howling. I have no idea what's going on.
Jesus. Fuck. Just behind you! I know you're sharpening your teeth for the president. Fucking beasts. Now, Jack! No! There is a house way down in Calico. They call the rising sun. Felicity, I'm coming! Smash! A Gatling gun? You kidding me? What the hell? Evil never sleeps, but it bleeds.
All right, that'll probably get the stream taken down. But yeah, go check it out. I highly recommend it. But more to the point, what I was saying before I got distracted. Shinkai says, there is a trailer from Steambot Chronicles 2, but studio went under, so will forever be a dream. Okay, I knew that trailer existed, but I sort of I jumped. That's my bad, Shinkai. Like, yes, that trailer exists. Yes, and I know it won't ever happen, but now we have the right opportunity. This is the middle market development style will help. Oh, dude, yeah, volume dealer. When 4 dogs all start like howling together, like I've got 2 huskies, they start going crazy. I have a chihuahua who just does like the chirpy bark whenever she hears it, and then I have like a basset hound who just like howl. So it gets nuts. So sometimes we can endure it. I know you guys hear them occasionally, and like it lasts for like a second, and we can get past it. But what happened right now is whenever an ambulance passes by in my neighborhood or in my city, like up to like 3 or 4 miles away, they'll hear it and they'll just start like barking at it. So that's what that was. Tehillim says, I've been playing some of the early Assassin's Creed games and replaying Ghost of Tsushima. I've never really been a big fan of the Assassin's Creed games. I liked the concept because it was like ancient societies controlled by aliens for the future of human. Like that stuff was all interesting, but then it just got really out of pocket really, really fast. I don't know. I'm glad. I know people do. I'm not deriding the series as a whole. It just never worked for me. So yeah, that's all I have to say on Assassin's Creed. I did play and beat the first one in its entirety, and then I think I went to college, and then I hit the Mavs Media Dead Zone, where I was like not engaging with anime or comics or video games because I was like way too into my studies. And then Ghost of Tsushima, good replay. Got to get ready for Ghost of Yotei. I've heard nothing but good things about Ghost of Tsushima. I have it. I've barely started. I know I need to like deep dive into it. But again, where's the time? I got Xenoblade Chronicles to play. Meteor Advocate Timon says Assassin's Creed ended with Desmond. Well, yes, but do you also want to know, like, this is one of the things that sort of reinforces my point about how like unruly Assassin's Creed got. So that those early Assassin's Creed games, if you remember, it dealt with like the Isu and that the apple, like the knowledge orb, and stopping her from using it and whatever, and that was the entire point. And then I think around like 4 they switched narratives. They wrapped up that original Assassin's Creed story about her, about the Isu, in a fucking comic book, and not even like a main comic book, like a random ass mini series, not even by like a big publisher. I think it's, who the hell was it? It was Titan Comics. So if you guys don't know Titan Comics, they're slightly smaller, but they do the things like they do Gun Honey, which I read. They do a lot of licensed stuff. Like they did the Kamen Rider book, the 01 book. They did the live-action Netflix tie-in series for Cowboy Bebop. I know, I can't believe it existed either. I still see copies of like the art germ cover for that book, which should have been like an incentive thing, like just $3 at my comic book shop. That does not move at all. All right, let's see. Yeah. Don't I have a phone? I never again, Diablo Immortal. This is why nobody likes you, Blizzard. But with that, we are rounding the corner on our show tonight, so we might as well get to the main event that I'm announcing like I'm on WWE. Which one do I want to open? Because I have multiples. Whoa, loud. Turn that down really fast. So, what frame should we sit on first? That's a good frame to hang out on. Yeah, there's that too, Shinkai. Here, let me highlight that. Isn't Desmond technically alive as a White Spectre type thing as the architect? Yeah, remember he shows up. I think is it Odyssey? It's one of those ones. But yeah, he like shows up at the end and he's like a light being and he's like, I need you for the fight, and then nothing happens from that. Like they've let their own canon in series and stuff or whatever sort of get too unruly, and like it's the same complaint we have with the MCU, right? Like or Marvel Comics. It's like, oh, everybody's forgetting everything. Can we not just be like consistent for once, please? There we go. That's the frame I want to hang out on. All right, main event time. Who all caught the very first episode of Dragon Ball Daima. We are finally back, Dragon Ball Bros. We finally have a new series on our hands. Dragon Ball Daima is officially here. Today was its premiere day. We got the very first episode. For those who don't know, it is being aired in Japan, and simulcasts are being provided by Crunchyroll. Or if you're like me, you have alternative ways of finding the subtitled version without paying a very shady company any amount of money. So, more to the point, where do we begin? I guess we can just sort of start with a basic recap of this episode. So, in this episode, we get, it's a very exposition-heavy episode. And Zero, if you're in the chat, I'm probably going to need your help to remember some of the names. Because when it came to everybody in the demon realm, I sort of just went, my mind was elsewhere. And then I went, oh yeah, I know all these people, but they're not all Mira. Mira's a different character. So you might have to help me out there as we go on. And not just Zero, anybody else in the chat who watched the show. But we start off this series, pretty interesting start. As you can sort of see here, this shot of Goku. We actually start off in the midst of the Buu saga. So these two right here, the King somebody who Zero's going to remind me, and then like his demon Supreme Kai, they are watching the entire fight unfold between or the entire Buu saga. They start this episode watching it unfold from when Vegeta gets turned to Majin to when Goku blows him away with the Spirit Bomb. So the reason they're watching is because they're from the demon realm. They're super surprised that Deborah got taken over by Babidi. They're fearful of Babidi. They just want to know what's going on, since it all involves the demon realm. And eventually, as they're watching this footage, they realize, oh, those dudes are strong. Like, they're scary, you know, like the Z fighters. You got Piccolo, Krillin, yada, yada, yada. So they decide, well, or basically there's another demon lady, and again, somebody throw me the name. There's a woman here. Maybe I can land on her really easily. Babidi. Is it right here where he talks to her? No. So yeah, see, checking out the Buu saga, the Babidi saga, all that fun stuff. Then they learn that the Dragon Balls exist from watching that footage. Where is she? I just want to show. There she is. So eventually, she shows up from the shadows behind them while they're watching the Buu fight, and she kind of, you know, she's clearly a manipulative sort, because she's a researcher. She wants to make sure that now that he's king, now that Deborah is gone, because that's what happens, is the little dude ascends to the throne and says, I'm the ruler of the demon realm now. And she says, are you going to continue funding my research? And he goes, I don't know why I should do that. And so she decides to, you know, mess with his head. And, I mean, okay, he didn't get beat, but you knew what I mean, Shinkai. I was being colloquial. Shinkai says, Deborah didn't just get beat, got turned into a cookie and eaten one of the most craziest unhinged deaths, but can't help but laugh. No, it was that's one of the things I really liked about. I'm not a big fan of the Buu saga, but I liked that element of Buu, like turning people into cookies and candy and eating them like that. And then that's that. You're done, Deborah. Sorry. So she shows up and she basically convinces him that if, you know, yeah, these guys are really strong. It would suck if they decided to come and invade the demon realm one day. So they basically assemble a plan to go find the Dragon Balls and make a wish and make sure that all the Z fighters are not as powerful, or just make sure they're not powerful so that they don't pose any threat to our future or to his ruling machinations, if you will. So they eventually travel. They get an old Namekian to help them, you know, find the balls, use the balls. They take off. They get to Earth, and when they get to Earth, keep going. So on Earth, we actually start. We find all the Z fighters are hanging out for Trunks' birthday party. I feel like, isn't that how Battle of the Gods started? Was that a birthday party? No, that was Bulma's birthday party. That's what it was. But yes, we start here with another Capsule Corps party. All of your favorites are here. Everybody's hanging out. We even got Yamcha in the house. Okay, no Tien. Tien and Chatsu are clearly out training. But everybody's back. We get introduced to everybody. We sort of do a quick recap of the Buu saga. There is this weird moment, and I was talking about this with Zero, where we learn that Deborah and the Obito and the Supreme Kai were able to split. And it's weird because in the manga, they already gave an explanation, which was that, damn it, Zero, you just showed it to me because we were talking about it. So let me pull that up so I can just be accurate with what I am telling you guys. Oh yeah, so in the manga, it's explained that, because we do see them again without split up, and the Elder Kai asks them, hey, how'd that happen? And they said, oh, we got the Dragon Balls, and we wished, and they split us apart. And everyone went, okay, cool, sure. Here, they unnecessarily overwrite that. They basically say that they asked Boo to eat them, because if you guys remember, the explanation for why Goku and Vegito split up when they got eaten by Boo is because his stomach acids dissolved them, right? Obviously, they retcon that later to say that if you're not fused with a Supreme Kai, then it won't take permanently. But basically, they brought that back, and they said Obito and Supreme Kai went and they got eaten by Boo, and it split them apart. It's not a big change. It's just a bit odd. I don't know if we're missing something, if I'm missing something as a Dragon Ball fan, but I don't think I am. So weird little curiosity. It doesn't add nor take away from anything really, but it's just a discrepancy, if you will. And we wouldn't be doing our jobs here if I didn't point out when such discrepancies happened. So basically, we get everybody at the party, they're hanging out, and then in typical Goku Vegeta fashion, they start challenging each other to a fight, and they take off, and they start battling in the skies. And we get a very, 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 very well animated fight scene. I would play part of it, but we will get immediately slapped down, which is a bit unfortunate, but there you go. You know what? Yeah, no, I'll play 2 seconds of it. I'm going to time it in my head, but just watch the animation. It's beautiful. So we got, yeah, just really, really slick, really, really good looking. So that's our first fight of Daima. We get them battling it out. Then as they get concerned with that, eventually the demons, they make it to Dende's landing. They ask for the Dragon Balls. They demand to use them. We discover that there are a set of Dragon Balls in the demon realm where they show it. There's a scene where they show they have guardians. You guys can watch it. It's in there. But we learn that there are a demon realm set of Dragon Balls as well that are guarded by these three sort of Transformers-looking dudes. Is seriously the best way I can put it. But then this old Kai, or this old Namekian, is able to sort of very quickly locate and collect the Dragon Balls with his magics. Brings them back to the landing. Even though everybody says they're stone, it's not going to work for you. The old Namekian does his Namekian magic, and it becomes active again. So they make their wishes. And the main wish is sort of, as we all know, considering it is the plot of the series, he wishes for everybody who helped defeat Boo and Bobbity and Deborah. He wants them all to be children so that they will not pose any threat to him, past, present, or future. And then Shenron asks, what about the ones who are already kids, which were Trunks and Goten? Says turn them into into babies. And the episode ends with everybody starting to go through their sort of weird transformation scene. Like we get a lot of graphics like this, like Goku, oh! Vegeta, oh! So this is actually where the episode ends, or it ends here with Goku getting a look at his hands, but we don't see him yet. That's going to be the reveal for the next episode. So let me rehydrate real quick. So that is the first episode of Dragon Ball Daima. A pretty basic setup, sort of exposition episode. Not a lot to really write home about, criticize, praise. Cool to see these new characters. I like more exploration of the demon realm. I mean that makes sense as the new enemy type, I guess, over aliens and invaders, because we've already sort of handled that. So far, this is really well animated. I don't know how long that's going to hold or if it will ever go away. I hope it doesn't. But so far, looks very, very, very impressive. The oddest thing I think I can say, it really is the fact that that weird wish discrepancy occurs between Deborah and, or not Deborah, Obito and Supreme Kai. But aside from that, it's nice to see everybody back. I think the main thing I want to discuss is, so yeah, I'm trying to find the bar tracker so I can just get us to a different shot. Who should we hang out on? Let's hang out on Dende. I always liked Dende. Can I find Dende? Dende, there he is. I always liked Dende. He's pretty cool. So the main thing I want to talk about in regards to this episode, because we finally got the sort of basic setup for the plot, and I know in the lead up to the series, you know, Zero was one of them. I saw way more people on the internet talking about this. A lot of people were speculating, given the everybody being a kid again plot element, is this just going to be sort of the canonization of Dragon Ball GT? Is this how they're going to, are they going to like do a retread of that, like a remake, a restyling of it, right? When this first was announced and throughout all the promo material, I was unsure. I was going, I don't know if that's what they're going to do. Yes, they're kids, but we don't know what sort of the plot is. You know, the big thing with GT was Goku is a kid, only Goku, but then they go out into the universe to find those new Dragon Balls. So at first I was like, I don't think so. But after watching this episode, I will admit I'm not as staunch in that opinion, because between the aspect of here are evil Dragon Balls in the demon realm, right? Like that, and they have guardians. I was listening specifically. They didn't say that they're like connected to the balls or they come from the balls, like the Omega Shenrons and the Z Shenrons and everything. But that element of here are some evil Dragon Balls with staunch defenders that you need to find these balls to undo your curse. That coupled with the Demon King turns them into kids because he's afraid of them being so powerful, which is literally what Pilaf did in GT. Remember, he saw Goku being strong and he's like, I wish Goku was a kid again. Maybe we could beat him. And he had his wish left and Shenron went, you got it. So ultimately, I don't know. I will admit that there are a lot of, it's running up really close to it. Like it's starting to tap. Again, we're one episode in. I'm working off of very limited information, but that's sort of where we are, right? A lot of the stuff in here has it makes me, it's not necessarily, I wouldn't go so far as to at this point, I wouldn't go so far as to say they're necessarily trying to reference GT, but what they're doing definitely evokes GT in the minds of people who watched it. You know, all of us fans who caught it back in the 90s. I'm not necessarily against this idea. I understand that GT, unless Toyotaro gets inspired, I am pretty sure GT will never be an official canon part of Dragon Ball, right? It exists. We all love it. It keeps getting love and acknowledged, right? The Dragon Ball Sparking Zero, when we watched that last trailer like 2 weeks ago, their big thing was, here are all the Super Saiyan 4s. You got your Vegeta, Goku, Gogeta. This is awesome. GT in the house. Omega Shenron, Kid Goku. So it still gets love. I just wonder, now I am more curious to see if this is how they're going to go, because maybe this is how we get Super Saiyan 4 canonically introduced into the actual timeline. But then again, this is Daima. Do we, considering the discrepancy with Deborah, or God, why do I keep calling him that? With the Supreme Kai and Kibito or Obito, like, is this still canon? Is this anime only canon? Like, we know this comes from Toriyama and Toyotaro, but like when we get movies, right? Superhero, Broly, Battle of the Gods, there's always a clear indicator there that like this is made by Toriyama, and it's going to be canon. Regardless of what comes next, like, you know, the super anime, that was like, that didn't really matter, but the super movies, like, or I guess it's still a Z movie, like Resurrection F, Battle of Gods, those were canon. Those are all canon. They haven't said anything about that with Daima, and Daima is a series as opposed to a movie. So, lots of questions up in the air right now before I can sort of make an opinion. Like I said, at this point, I'm interested. I like seeing everybody again. I won't lie, I'm kind of excited to see the initial scene of everybody discovering their kids, because I feel like there's going to be a lot of good humor in that, a lot of good Dragon Ball humor, probably some really funny lines out of Bulma, maybe Chi-Chi. Like they'll probably, like, I wonder if Chi-Chi will put on, like, back her armor. Remember the original armor she had when she first met Goku with, like, the Kirby-style blade cutter on it? I wonder if she'll bring that back. I like that design. I always thought she should have kept wearing it, but obviously she's not a fighter anymore, unless you look at the Garlic Jr. saga, which is an anime only, right? But yeah, overall, you know, solid. Not, again, it's all setup, and it's not even like pure plot setup. It's sort of just introducing our cast is what they did in this episode, and the very basic aspect of we want them to turn back into kids. So that is, yeah, yep, Shinkai, I'm waiting for Goku to get back on the pole. Phrasing. Oh yeah, that was one of the things that really made me excited about the series, was bringing back the power pole, the Niobe, because I always liked that. You know, to me, when Goku abandons the Niobe and then the Kinito, the Nimbus, that to me is where you get that sizable, or that very stark, not narrative shift, but like directional shift in the Dragon Ball series from Toriyama, where to me, that first Dragon Ball, like Dragon Ball, is, like I was talking about this with Marvin last night. It is a comedy series, right? It's a comedy take on Journey to the West. At least that's how it started. But it gradually, because of that DNA, that origin DNA, it evolved into just a big adventure story, right? Goku goes here, he helps somebody, he goes over here with Bulma, they look for a Dragon Ball, they find it, they go on to the next place. In the process of that, they come across a bunch of different people, like Nam, and they help them out, or Appa and his kid. And then, you know, they also come across the Red Ribbon Army, because that's the threatening thing out there, and that becomes the escalating threat. So I always liked that element. Like, I love Dragon Ball Z, but if I ever try recommending, like, how do I get into Dragon Ball, Mav? I go, start with Dragon Ball. Not just because it is the first one, but because it is probably the most general sort of story. Because once we get to Z and we get past Raditz, then we get into the power level stuff. The energy auras, the powering up, the Super Saiyans, which I like, don't get me wrong, but the focus decidedly shifts from adventure to fighting, where, you know, it becomes more of like a Superman style story, where Superman is hanging out at the ready to protect whenever something falls down and is ready to, like, tear up the universe, compared to something like a this is hard, like a Wolverine or a Captain America, where they'll travel for a few issues and they'll look around and they'll do some investigation and they'll meet people and they'll reunite with allies, and, you know, there's plans that need to be made. So I always really liked that about Dragon Ball, and so when they abandon that, I don't dislike it, but I miss, like, let's see Vegeta and Goku go somewhere and do something, right? Like, that's not just, I gotta beat up this opponent. So seeing the power pole back, I could not be more excited. I do wonder, too, now that I brought it up, if we'll see the Kinito again. The Kinoten, no idea. We haven't seen it in any of these previews. But yeah, that's Daima so far. I've got the Daima Goku figure arts on pre-order, so you know I'm on board. I right now I am stuck mulling on the idea of, do I want this to canonize stuff from GT? Like, do I want this to be where Super Saiyan 4 gets officially canonized? And I'm torn, right? I'm torn in multiple directions. One direction is me being the sort of creative purist, saying Toriyama didn't say it, he doesn't want it, so no, don't ever add that into the canon. Then part of me goes, well, at this point, it's sort of accepted. So why not make it easier on sort of fans and the narrative to bring those in? And then the other part of me goes, this is so fucking dumb. Of course this is what you guys are doing. Like, the cynical part of me overrides and goes, of course this is what you guys, of course you're trying to make a quick cash grab anime over the rehash of GT. So I guess it really is going to boil down, if this is how it plays out, it's going to boil down to how do they handle it. And the other thing that sort of I just realized might be cool, not saying it will be, but it might be, is if they do canonize Goku, maybe, just maybe, because guys, this franchise, it's not done. This thing is Dragon Ball's never going away. We will, from here on out, we are going to keep getting new media, whether it's a new anime entries or manga from Toyotaro. So this thing's going. Just because Toriyama's gone doesn't mean it's gone. And so maybe, just maybe, if we do get Super Saiyan 4 introduced in this series, we will, maybe like Toyotaro and everybody will be inspired to finally start designing new power forms, like new Super Saiyan levels that aren't just different color hair and bigger, right? From Super Saiyan God just turned you red, Super Saiyan Blue just turned your Super Saiyan form blue, Beast just gave Gohan really, really big white hair, and like, what are we, like, this is, as a huge Dragon Ball stan, with somebody with a Dragon Ball tattoo on his side, my most painful one because I got it on my rib cage. It's a little ridiculous, guy. It's getting a little unruly. We got to scale back the power-ups, because I think I've talked about this before. I knew there was a problem with all of this, or like the problem with or a clash between the creative part and the merchandising ends of Toei and stuff, when they introduced Super Saiyan God, and they were like, this is a ceremony. It's so special. You have to have 6 Saiyans, and they have to be of pure heart or of good heart and give you their energy. And only once you're united in that, if you're worthy, will you get this power. And then you're like, whoa, that's crazy, Super Saiyan God. But then they were like, oh yeah, by the way, you can also just power up a lot and be Super Saiyan God Blue. Okay, you kind of just made that entire thing not special anymore. And it made me, as a fan, and I know I'm not alone, go, oh, if that's the case, then we're just going to, like, why do I care about this new form? Right? And sure enough, we got Ultra Instinct, we got Ultra Ego, we got Ultra Instinct Sign, or however you want to, like, vary them up. So, all in all, I would say, check it out if you want to. It's only, 20, 30 minutes at that. Looks really well. Everything looks crisp. Everything looks clean. I noticed there is minimal use of CGI, but there is a use of CGI. You can see it when, let me see if I can land on it really quick. I keep landing on all the demon guys. I don't want to land on the demon guys. I need to land on our crew, because, where is it? Might be before this. Oh yeah, it's right here, where in this shot where Vegeta is shooting his Gallic gun, which, first of all, I thought that was cool. Like, oh look, Gallic gun. He doesn't do that anymore. But when he does it, there's this like you can see that like this is a CG model, and this is me nitpicking. You guys know me. I don't like my CGI in anime. It almost never blends well. This is another instance of it. I know the untrained normie eye is really not going to care about this, but it's something I needed to point out because this is my show and I can talk about whatever I want. Shinkai says, not sure if people feel Super made Goku a bit too dumb, or those people that think that would be nice if brought back more, or would be, not sure if people feel Super made Goku a bit too dumb. For those people that think that, would be nice if they brought back more fun tactics of Goku. So yeah, there is that sizable contingency of fans who go, Super really kind of made Goku a little stupid. And I do find myself sitting on that camp, especially with the whole, I don't know how you make babies. I don't know how, like, Goten aged. I don't know, all that stuff is really stupid, and it wasn't, that to me is an instance of a meme being adapted into canon, like, without people understanding everything that was around it, because Goku was not a bad dad in the original series. Yeah, he made Gohan fight, but, like, he realized, like, a lot of the stuff he does is for Gohan's benefit, for the Earth's benefit. He's not that stupid of a dad. So, yeah, I definitely want them to bring back that more tactical Goku, the smarter Goku, and hopefully with the new emphasis on the power pole and that adventure of it all, hopefully that's what we're gonna start seeing more of. Like that's all I can do right now is like, fuck, we lost. Are you kidding me? Well, volume dealer, you called it. You called it. I jinxed it. I should not wear my hat on stream ever, ever, ever again. Well, that is like an absolute bummer to learn as we drive down here into the final couple minutes of our show. I think that was all I had to say about Daima. I was looking over at the browser to see what other all the other tabs I had open of things to potentially talk about, but I saw that, and it's probably about a good time for us to start signing off, for me to go pick up my phone, text all my friends, and tell them that I am very, 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 very unhappy. So, with that, let's see. Let's jump back over to our main screen. Oh, shoot. Hold on, guys. I kicked something. I kicked my... come on. My splitter for my monitors and everything, I like kicked it right there at the very end and knocked everything over. Everything is falling apart here on the very final minutes of the 47th episode of Good Mav Ugly. The Padres are losing. My camera's going blurry. My thing fell. The screen's disconnected. Ridiculous. Cats and dogs living together. Mass hysteria, like I said before. But all in all, guys, I want to thank every single one of you for coming and hanging out with me tonight. It is always a blast to spend my Friday evenings with you. I look forward to this every single week. I hope you guys do too. As always, if you guys want to check me out before next week's show, you can find me over on boundingintocomics.com, where I'm putting up news every day. You can always follow me right here on Twitter at KabutoWriterMav. You can also go check out Thursday nights, where I stream over on the channel Foil Variant with my good friend Andrew Rodriguez. We stream over there. We talk. That's where your comic book talk is now located. So hit that up. You can also catch me over on the Bounding Into Comics 01 stream on Wednesday nights with Cider, Jacob, and Nerdigans, where we break down the big main entertainment news stories of the week. I am also a regular guest over with my boy Marvin over on Tooneytown TV. That show happens right after Foil Variants on Thursday. Don't worry, guys. At some point, I'm going to create like a graphic to put up here at the end of the show or the beginning of the show, where you can see all this. You don't have to hear me give my spiel. But until then, I am going to keep spieling at you. But yes, I think that is what we have for tonight. I want to thank everybody for coming and hanging out. Volume Dealer, Reeve, Corey, Tehillim, Shinkai, Andrew, Duck was here for a little bit. Who am I missing? I know I said Timon. I know I said Shinkai. I know I said Tehillim. I think that's about most of you. If I forgot you, it's nothing personal. There's just a lot of chats going on, and I sort of lose track of them. But I see you guys out there. I feel incredibly grateful and thankful every week when you guys show up to watch, whether you're here chatting or whether you are in the, you're just watching or you're watching in the replay. Thank you for hanging out, and I hope I can keep entertaining you guys. Let me scroll back down. Yeah, just wanted to make sure I didn't have any chats that I missed. But yeah, guys, with that, my camera is going screwy. I do not have a last call for you tonight. One, because as you could tell by our little bit of a later start time, I was running late. But also, again, the anime takedowns are ridiculous from Toei. Remember, 2 weeks ago, by like Reeves' request, or not by his request, because we were talking, I played that Gintama clip about how manga and anime, like, they can deviate. I disputed it. They held it up. Even though we were talking over it the entire time, no audio was playing, I was just showing you the graphics. They said, no, sir, that's the equivalent of playing this show for your 100 followers. So trying to avoid that. Let's see what happens. Next week, we'll probably be back in the saddle. Hopefully next week, I will have my new setup ready to go. Actually, that reminds me, 2 things. I can't believe I forgot to say this, but if you are watching right now, down in the description to this video, that was your bad. What was your bad? So in the description to this video, guys, you will find a Discord link to the brand new, currently in construction, Studio Kabuto server, where it's a server where, kind of central to all the shows we do here. We got dedicated channels for all of our hobbies, all that fun stuff. It is where we are currently hosting the channels for foil variant, if you guys care about that, but it's also just a general Studio Kabuto channel. Right now, it is still early. Andrew and I are still building it together. Well, I'm building it up, and I'm asking him for, to review it whenever I put something. But if you want to get in early, go check out that link down below. It is only going to be active for, we've been 2 hours now. If I forget, it's going to be active for only about 4 hours. If I remember, it's probably going to come down within an hour and a half. So every week I will be sharing that link down in the description, but it's going to be a constantly rotating invite so that we don't just get a bunch of bots and random people in the server. If you guys want to come hang out with us and talk more about all of this here or talk to each other, please feel free to go right down there, hit that join button. Yes, it was, oh! Were you the one that brought it up, Shinkai? I didn't think it was you. I thought I was talking to Reeve about it. But yes, it was Gintama. What did I say? Did I not say Gintama? I bet I didn't say Gintama. But yes, so new Discord server down there. Join it if you want to. That's where you can find me, talk about all this stuff. There's also channels in there for the shows that I have alerts on for. So if there's anything you guys ever need to send me while we're live or you want me to see something, you can tag me in there and we'll pull it on up. The other note is, if you have made it this far, unfortunately, next week, I just remember this because I was giving my spiel, there will not be a Good Map Ugly next week. There will still be a foil variant, I believe, but next weekend, one of my best friends, one of my childhood best friends, is getting married, so I will be flying out of state. I will be away from all of my gear. I don't think I'll be, I was going to say maybe I'll do something, but I don't think I'm going to be able to bring any of my streaming kit with me, so we most likely not having a show of any kind next week, so I'll see you back here in 2 weeks for another Good, the Mad, the Ugly. Until then, everybody, go out, have a good weekend, a good 2 weekends. Go play something you enjoy. Go read something you love. Go remember that there's still good things out there, even if most of the stuff is being completely systematically destroyed by those in charge of it. Go Padres, hate the Dodgers forever. Guys, I'm blurring out right now. My camera's not happy, so I think that's officially it. Until next time, everybody, I'll talk to you later.
As the creator of Mara Jade,
Wait! I am not the creator of Mara Jade, and I want you to get out of this office right now.
I'm sorry, Zeb.
No way.
You brought
No way.
You brought it on yourself.
I don't want you here.
I'm so sorry, George. I didn't think it would go like this.
Out.
Ted, I got your voucher.
Out! There.
I'm sorry about that. I'm so sorry. We'll have him, like, burned and... We'll
I don't
execute
even
him
know
and
who
burned.
that guy is.